for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk.
You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about Broody boys and why we love them. I'm Frankie.
And I'm at AK Stormageddon.
Are there two companions more diametrically opposed than Fenris and Anders? Fenris, traumatized by mages. Anders, devoted to a mage rebellion. In this episode, we delve into the companion quest for both of our Broody boys. Fenris arranges a meeting with his long-lost sister only to be overwhelmed by the suspicion that nothing good is real and it's all a trap set up by Daenerys. Spoiler alert, it is. Meanwhile, Anders wants to separate himself from Justice using a potion he'd been researching. But is that his real goal? How far will he go to liberate mages? How far will he push Hawk?
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. These are very dramatic in scope, but in execution, not so much.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm starting to see the shortcomings of the storytelling on a replay. And, I don't know if this game will remain my favorite in the franchise or not. We'll see. We've got, we could, in the same way that, when we played through the original trilogy again, I came around on 3, and I think 3 is my favorite, barring the last 10 minutes, because that will be flawed no matter how much we forgive it. But the gameplay, the storytelling, the way it resolves, but also to that end, 3 is only good because 1 and 2 are good, right? Because it leads. This, and the way Dragon Age is segmented and the stories are kind of isolated-ish, sort of. The storytelling, I don't want to say seems more flawed, but it definitely feels fragmented in a way that I may not have noticed the first time.
I think what we're experiencing is the result of the rushed production. Act 3 suffers the most, in my opinion. The narrative is, as you say, fragmented. There are little moments that just don't play.
Yeah.
Some missions are better than others. Some companions get a better treatment than others. Yeah. When we do Varric's companion quest, I feel that is fully fleshed out. Whereas Fenris and Anders, so they are major players in this game, this kind of final companion quest in Act 3, they're next to nothing moments. And they're people who have been with you since Act 1, and this is the third act. Shouldn't they get something more dramatic? Shouldn't they get a bigger narrative stake? Something that sets them up for the finale? And I feel like narratively, Anders does get a setup for the finale, but the execution just isn't there. Whereas Fenris, I don't think he gets that finale stake.
Yeah, I think also part of it is that we are playing these games very, we're taking a fine-tooth comb to them. And I feel like the Mass Effect trilogy holds up better on a mission-to-mission basis. I think if we played Dragon Age 2 the way some of our contemporary podcasts have covered it, where it's bundles of missions and maybe conquering the act in a couple of episodes instead of over the course of many episodes, really drilling down on each character and each mission, we'd see less of this because it would all bleed together a little more. Again, when I played this the first time, I played it straight through over a week, maybe less.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas we're dragging this out over months and months, and I think that also shows the deficiencies in the storytelling, because every time we come back to it, we have to go, okay, what are we up to? What's going on? Oh, that was it? Okay, I guess we're moving on, right? Just becomes, as we analyze it with more scrutiny, it becomes more apparent.
Right, which is why we have to, in some cases, bundle quests together so we can have a full episode and not just 15 minutes of being we went into the sewers and we found some stuff, and then that was kind of it. But here's the thing. The point of Reignite, for me anyway, is this drilling deep. It is this fine-tooth comb, and talking about how these small storylines mirror our personal lives, mirror every day. So we can still talk about the impact, But I think we still have to acknowledge that these characters are not getting the treatment that they deserve narratively. But we understand why that happened because of the rush in development.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's the mission statement of the show, right? Is ultimately, what if we were these characters? How would we make these choices and how do they relate to our lives? That's why we drill down the way we do. And then analyzing it as a video game, gaming and all goes hand in hand, but is not the primary focus of the podcast,
Right.
but still plays into it because at the end of the day, we're playing a video game and we like video games. And yeah, I think I'm just struggling more with this playthrough than I have previous playthroughs, and I'm curious how that'll carry over, because I think I liked Dragon Age 1 and Dragon Age Origins and Awakening more, replaying them the way we did it, because I probably skipped a lot of shit my first time through because there's so much, and you can mainline that game and still be stuck in it forever. Whereas this, it's a shorter game, and I probably did almost everything because it also kind of holds your hand to do all the quests in this game. It doesn't really let you miss anything. And so that could be part of what I'm going through now. We'll have our season finale where we talk about the game and how it holds up and all of that. But like, I'm thinking about that more as we do these companion quests, because characters that as much as I like to give you shit, I like Anders as a character and was thoroughly disappointed with his mission. But we'll get to that.
Yeah. Would you like to start with Fenris or Anders?
Let's start with Fenris because I feel like quicker.
Okay. So with Fenris, we have a conversation with him in his home where he explains that he has located his sister. He has arranged to have her brought here. Everything is going so smooth and easy. And no matter how he scrutinizes the situation, he cannot find Daenerys's hand on anything, which makes him that much more suspicious.
Yeah, and we're given an opportunity here to console him and be like, hey, look, it could be a trap, sure. But also, maybe something good will happen. Maybe you can have a good thing. Maybe it's just your sister wanting to see you.
What a concept.
I know.
Good things happening.
I know. I have to say that while Fenris does often seem paranoid, there are moments where same, bud. Same, I get you.
It's only paranoia if no one is actually out to get you.
Right, exactly.
So we agree, we'll be there for you. We're bros. I got you.
Yeah.
When we get to the Hanged Man, the cutscene initiates immediately. We see a red-haired, pale elf who looks nothing like Fenris, but I think that is because what Fenris went through to get the lyrium marks on his body altered his appearance as well.
Yeah.
Dyed his hair white, for example. And she talks about how Leto is his real name, which, what a nice, soft name compared to the violent entity we know as Fenris.
Right, yeah. It kind of took me aback a bit. I was like, oh, okay.
Can you imagine him as a Leto?
No, not at all. Not even a little bit.
And the moment is so brief because she refuses to look at him.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes Mr. Shitmeister himself.
Yeah, Hawk is given a moment to go, oh, this is wrong. We need to go, because I think...
It's a trap!
Yeah, I think as much as Fenris claims to be this hardened, soulless, violent creature, the minute he sees his sister, he starts to kind of lean in. He starts to believe it's real, and it takes Hawk that moment to go, actually, I think we need to go. This isn't right. And then the shit stain descends from the stairs.
I fucking hate Daenerys. I know we're supposed to hate Daenerys,
yeah,
but I hate him so much more. I hate him more than I hate Meredith.
Interesting.
I hate him so much because of the way that he talks about Fenris. Meredith is insane, right?
Yes, that's true.
We know that, Meredith has these hateful prejudices already that were instilled in her by a system, and then a thing happens to make it worse. Yeah. That's not 100% in her control. She sucks, don't get me wrong. But Daenerys is like this.
No,
is like this.
The way he talks to you about Fenris like he's property the whole time,
yes.
And you basically have to stop him and go, he's a free elf. He's not a slave. And And Daenerys basically ignores you and like hand waves and goes, sure, he's
Oh,
property.
does he say to you, like, is this your new master?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he says, like, is this your new mistress? I want to castrate this dude. He definitely sexually assaulted Fenris. You cannot convince me otherwise.
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
And, like, the way he talks, he sounds like one of those daddy doms who are, like, 22 years old and talking about how they're looking for a bratty little sub.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hate you, and I hope bad things happen to you.
Yeah, he basically talks about how Fenris is good property to have, but he'll be taking him back now. And this is when
It makes me want to vomit.
this is when a fight breaks out and I don't know, there's something about having fights in non-combat areas that brings me joy. Like, it's just fun
Yeah.
to see how the space works as a battle arena, because it's obviously a different instance of the space because the patrons aren't there, you're just fighting the enemies, but like, it's just cool. It's cool when combat happens in typically safe areas of the map in a video game. It just feels fun.
I also appreciate that if Isabella is not in your party because she hangs out in the hangman, she joins the fight anyway.
Yep, she's just there.
She's like, hell yeah! Because she loves a fight. Who can blame her?
That's true.
I do appreciate that Fenris gets the cathartic experience of killing Daenerys.
Yes.
Kill your abuser. I hope your abuser dies. I was very happy about it because he deserves that. He deserves to rip out Daenerys' heart and eat it in the marketplace.
Yes.
That was a little Shakespeare for you.
Yeah, I know.
But then we're left with his sister. And she talks about how she had no choice because he was offering to make her a magister, which, by the way, would not have happened.
Yeah.
Like,
obviously.
she's an elf. There's no way that they would have done that.
Right.
But even if she, like, resisted, even if she didn't care, she doesn't have a choice. They would have just busted her back down to poverty. Like, they would have made her a slave. Her life was also at risk. And in a way, she's right. She didn't have a choice. Like, she did have a choice in the sense that she could have stood up to Daenerys and potentially lost her life, become possessed, become enslaved, etc., etc. Like, so many things could have happened to her. But is that really a choice? You know what I mean?
No, and
like,
I think...
Can we blame her for choosing her life over the life of a sibling that she became completely disconnected from?
No, I think that while it's totally understandable why Fenris is upset, it's hard to blame her for doing this when your brother absconded and abandoned you, admittedly with good reason to get away from his abuser, but still... You were left alone. You and your mother continued to struggle while he was gone. He never reached out. You never heard from him. So, like, you were going to do whatever it takes to survive. And, I don't think it excuses her actions, but it explains them.
I completely agree. I think that both of them have valid perspectives based on their lived experience. And... given time, they could work through each other's trauma and come to a point where they understand each other. But we, unfortunately, don't have the benefit of time in this situation. She is a mage, so that's why the whole Magister thing was promising to her. And Fenris wants to kill her for her role in this. What did you say?
I told him not to.
Okay. I also told him not to. Because, again, we understand the power system at play.
Yeah.
Like, we're outside of Fenris's emotions. We're outside of his experience. And we could see it maybe a little more clearly than he can.
Yeah.
So we both opted not to kill her and explain that she's a victim, too. She's a victim of the same system.
Yeah.
And she's just trying to survive. And before she leaves, she explains that Fenris competed for the lyrium markings so that his sister and his mother could be freed from slavery, but that wasn't the boon he thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And in the end, he feels stained and unclean from his experience with magic.
Yeah, and he continues to blame it, and you have an opportunity here to like say something, and I say to him that the magic's not to blame, it's the situation you were in. And he's like, isn't it? I fought for these markings. I wanted this power. Like my sister is a mage. All I see is magic causing problems. And like while I don't agree, I understand
Right.
why he would look at it that way, because it seems to be at every turn cause of pain in his family and in his own life.
Yeah. And despite how brief this quest is, I think it does give us a lot to think about if we drill deep, because trauma and memory are so inexplicably tied together. You lose a lot of yourself when you try and block off the horrors so that they don't haunt you constantly and you can just survive day to day. My memory, personally, is always going to be fucked up from the trauma that I've endured since being a young child. And Fenris not being able to remember his reason for competing to get the markings, not being able to remember the family he wanted to protect, he also couldn't remember himself. He couldn't remember Leto. And I wonder if that's because he needed to kill that version of himself so that way he could hold magic responsible for all the terrible things that happened to him, rather than the corrupt system propped up by magic users, admittedly, that impoverished his family and made the trauma feel necessary in order to survive. I think that what Fenris needs to see is that mages aren't the problem. And for the purposes of our conversation, it's white supremacy. Like, that's what is going on in Tevinter is white supremacy.
Right.
You know, the any elves or Dalish are being oppressed. And it is a very clumsy allegory for systemic oppression that we experience in our real world, because equating elves to people of color, trans people, etc., is not a one to one,
Right.
obviously. But I think that the story contains elements of that.
Yeah, and I think also it's natural if you experience a very deep and painful trauma related to a very specific thing, you need to do what you can to survive. And sometimes that is focusing on a common enemy or something that gives you a target to paint. It's not always the best solution, but sometimes on a
Mm.
personal level, it's the only solution. I think also that it's very easy to say that it's so much easier to say a group is bad than a single person is bad. Because if you
Yeah,
blame the whole group, it depersonalizes it. And then it makes it much easier to hate an entire group than it is to hate a person that you know personally. You know, it's where a lot of this kind of oppression comes from, is like looking at the big picture and blaming the whole group for the problem or despising the whole group. But in a lot of those cases, when those kinds of people meet someone one-on-one, can, if a good experience is possible, they can have one, but it doesn't always make them question things. They would consider it an anomaly instead of an example as well.
right.
And like these kinds of things are never simple. That's why they're worth discussing and analyzing, because it's very easy to paint with a broad brush on either side, no matter who you are, no matter what you do. It's when we scrutinize and drill down that we see the actual problems. We can fight the actual fights and make changes and find solutions.
Man, that was tough. I'm glad Daenerys is dead.
Yes.
Fuck that guy.
I think that this is, while short, is very is a well done cap to this arc. I think that it I don't quite know how you would flesh it out beyond this. I do, once we get to Fenris's questioning beliefs in Act 3, there'll be some resolution. But I don't think this leaves me as hanging or as like kind of listless as the next mission that we're about to discuss.
Yeah. I feel like narratively it works for Fenris.
Yeah.
I do think that there is kind of this lack of a personal stake in our final push, so to speak.
Yeah.
But maybe we pick that up with questioning beliefs, which we're going to do before all of the finale.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about justice.
So yeah, we go to Anders' clinic, and he is distraught as per usual, and is asking us for help yet again. He thinks he's discovered a potion that he can brew that will finally separate Justice and him, because he is finally ready to admit that while he wanted to help Justice and he wanted to, give Justice purpose, they're intertwined in a way that is not good for him, and that he needs help. It's admitting he has a problem and seeking recovery, which is important.
Yes. He talks about this potion that could separate the two of them without killing either of them, which honestly sounds too good to be true.
Correct.
Did you spend any time interrogating this potion, this process?
Yeah, I just asked some questions to I like to see the extra dialogue on a meta level, and so I interrogated it a bit.
Because I have a romance with Anders, he starts to say, I knew you'd stand behind me in this, even if, and he hesitates. And just from a meta moment, Anders, my love, my husband, the man that would drown the world in blood to protect me, the man I would raise cities for, you really should be telling me the truth.
Yeah.
We find out that he needs a couple of ingredients for his potion. He needs Celepetre, which is crystal formed from manure and urine, gross, and Drakestone, that can be found in the bone pit. No ritual, just a potion, which seems sus to me, but hey, I'm just a rogue. If I can't stab the problem, what do I know?
It also seems suspicious to me, but as a blow stuff off mage and not a healer support mage, I just may not know this magic.
It's true. I started in the sewer.
So did I.
It's right there. We fought a lot of smugglers and whatever. Anders kept saying, let's find more, or whatever. Which is truly a disservice to my man. At least make the responses be an interrogation about the Celepetre. Hint further at the truth from how other characters ask him about it. There could be party banter here. Someone could say like, oh, that smells fucking awful. Someone could be like, oh, I think I'm familiar with this stuff. We use it in this, to kind of hint at what Anders is really up to.
Yeah.
And I just think that there could have been more foreshadowing here through dialogue, and they didn't take advantage of that.
No, this and then the bone pit to follow to find the Drake scale are slogs. Yeah. They're boring and they suck.
Drakestone, spiders. Fuck spiders. We've said it a billion times.
And then a really big one at the end, which was even worse.
I hated it.
Yeah, this, like, to do a fetch quest at this point in the game, to just go find ingredients, like, this is the classic boring RPG quest. Go get me 10 sheep. Go kill 10 sheep. Go get me wool. Go get me boar tusks, right? Like, I'm thinking of World of Warcraft comes to mind, because the first, like, 10 quests you do in the human starting area are all, go get this thing, go kill that thing. And it's like, this game is so much better than that. I mean, it's not. There are plenty of missions we've done that are just kill things or just get things. But to have one, like, it serves no purpose here.
Yeah. For a companion quest to be reduced to a fetch quest, I feel is inappropriate for where we are in the game.
Yeah, especially since, like you said, there's no witty party banter. There are no story moments. You just funnel through these places as Anders tells you we need more. And it's boring and unnecessary. It would have been much easier to just go into the sewer, find one, Anders go, this is exactly what we need, and leave, right? That still would have been a fetch quest, but plenty of fetch quests have been that short in this game, where we just go to a place, get a thing, and get out. This was unnecessary, and it immediately rubbed me the wrong way, because I was bored by it. And like, it doesn't last long enough that it's a true hindrance, but it was long enough that I noticed it and was like, ugh, all right, fine. And we know how great these dungeons are laid out in this game, so like that doesn't help either.
I would have preferred if they had made it less about go to the location, fight a bunch of things, pick up like 5 or 6 of these, and that being it, to go get one, but you have to use your social skills to get it.
Yeah. I think so
because
too.
that would have been different, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is also that like we've done so many of these quests already in this game, and like yes, this is this is a couple of several generations ago, and there were more games that did this that didn't do this at the time, right? It was a pretty common trope in RPGs to go get the thing, but like, and so some of this critique is coming from us being in the year of 2026 and like
Yes.
games doing this much better also. But that said, there are still games in the 16-bit era that do side quests in RPGs that aren't this boring, right? And so
Exactly. Like, even when this first came out, I felt this way.
Yeah.
This feeling is over a decade old.
Yeah. And so I wish this game would like I think and we do jump quickly to the like caveat or well it was rushed development, but I think at a certain point it's like if you're rushed for development, do more story and less stuff is my thought. Like there's a game called Xenogears that's on the PlayStation. It's an RPG, and like that game had rushed development, and so while the first 2 discs are turn-based RPG with storytelling mechanics and cutscenes and all that stuff, the 3rd disc is basically a visual novel. Like because they were so pressed for time, they didn't want to tinker away on really complicated boss battles and battle mechanics. They just put the story in the 3rd disc, and you basically just have the conversations and see the cutscenes. I think that's a perfectly valid way to do it. A lot of people like condemn the game for that, but I think that actually makes more sense. I come to an RPG for the stories. The mechanics are important in an RPG as well, but like I'd rather have more interesting story and less repetitive combat, right? Or repetitive fest quests. And that's where I think the major failing is here.
I agree with you. And this is just another moment where we look back at the development and be like, why?
Yeah.
Why did you have to hurt me so?
Yes.
Let's move on to the next part, which is the sketchier part of Anders' mission. He needs to get inside the chantry without being seen, and he asks us to distract the Grand Cleric.
Yep, and we can either help or refuse. Obviously, we both agreed to help.
Yes, but. So, my character is in a relationship with Anders, right?
Right.
And I think it's harder to agree to something blindly when it's someone that you're in a relationship with. Because you want to understand where they're coming from.
Right.
You want to be part of it.
Right. You have a deeper need to be involved, to want to protect them and want to see them safe.
So one of the things that Anders says, and he might have said this to you, is it's easier to support freedom if no one must die to achieve it.
I think so.
And Anders becomes toxic to me in this conversation. He says that your support ends at talk, and if you push to be like, okay, I support you, I love you, I care about you, that doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with every single decision that you make, which is why I'm trying to understand this decision. Like, I'm trying to be on the same level as you.
Yeah.
So I can fully support you. And he keeps saying, this is not going to blow back on you. I don't want to involve you in this, but you are involving me in this.
Right.
You're asking me to be present to distract someone so you can do whatever it is you're doing. So I deserve to know what it is you're doing because I'm involved. But he refuses to see it that way. But fortunately for me in terms of narrative, when I agree, Hawk says, like, I'm not going to forget that you blackmailed me into this.
Yeah.
Like, you used my love, my feelings for you to get what you want. And that's not fair to me.
Yeah.
Which is a very real thing. That is something that can happen in relationships. If you love me, you would do this for me.
Yeah. Partners can use that as like a cudgel to like, beat you into submission of doing the thing, whatever the thing is, by guilting you for not wanting to do it.
Right. And often we see that rhetoric used for intimacy, just anything that breaks down a boundary. And it's bad, no matter what the boundary is.
Yeah.
They're pushing against your boundaries. So this is a strike against Anders for me. Even though I do love him, we can love flawed people.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, for me, I agree more readily because from the mage side of it, he's done nothing but show that he has the mage's best interest at heart. And as a friend, it's more easy to go, oh, could we get in trouble? Yeah, fuck it, let's go. You know,
Right.
I think it's a different kind of conversation to have. But your perspective, and because your relationship is different with Anders, totally makes sense.
I also wish that this moment, it does feel very disconnected, like the whole I have to get into the chantry now, like what does this have to do with your potion?
Right, correct.
And they do a very poor job of linking the two thoughts.
Yeah. And at one point you can ask him, well, what do I talk to the Grand Cleric about? He's like, I don't know. You'll think of something.
Yeah, like the weather, food. Actually, you know what? Talk about mages. Give her another chance to, like, side with us.
Yeah.
Which should tell you everything you need to know about what he's doing here. And I just give the thing that I hate about the Anders companion quest here is that it takes a lot of agency away from Hawk.
Yes.
You do not get a choice in whether you want to help him or not, but you do not get a choice in supporting him fully or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think Hawk deserves to know what's happening. I think it would have made the story more compelling. I think letting Hawk choose whether or not to be complicit in this act knowingly makes for a better story.
I agree, but I also think that this route makes for a compelling, more complex character because there are people like this in your life. It's the defense that I come to for Boyfriend Dungeon where people are like, you should be able to turn off Eric's story because it's toxic. And I'm like, but that's the whole point of the game is that
Eric's the plot.
Right. And that bad stuff that he does, while it would make you feel uncomfortable, and I understand why it would be triggering, is the whole point. And it's to maybe someone who hasn't experienced it, you can learn how bad it feels and like kind of in a safe
They
way.
also warn you about it.
Well, that came later. The original game launch didn't have that warning.
Didn't warn it?
Yeah, they added it after launch
I
and
feel
the
like
pushback.
I must have started it after they added the warning.
Yeah.
Like, I think a warning is helpful and important.
I agree.
But just so you know, this is gonna be a thing.
Right. But to that end, I think characters like that who are toxic like that are important to good storytelling, especially if you're trying to learn from those experiences in a safe environment. While I understand that someone may have to jump out because it's too triggering, totally makes sense. And so to that end, I do think this version of Anders is important to this storytelling because it does teach you something about this kind of person. And, you know, I guess I'm of two minds about it. Also, never really pursuing the relationship with Anders in this game. It's hard to see it exactly as you do, but just from an outside perspective, I do think that both paths are valid, but I would be curious to see how it would play out your way. And also, there are a lot of moments in this game where Hawk could have had more agency. We talked about this in Meryl's mission just last episode. So, like, that's a flaw of the game overall, too, in a broader sense.
Yeah. I think that there are ways to give Hawk agency while keeping this complicated nature of Anders.
Yes.
Anders doesn't necessarily have to be the one that reveals what's going on.
Right.
I think it's just important that Hawk finds out and either makes their peace with it or tries to prevent it. Like, I think Hawk deserves to have that choice.
Yes, I agree.
Let's jump to the Chantry and our conversation with Elfina.
So I decided to take the mage route and just...
I did as well.
And try and get support for the mages. And, like, figures like Althena continue to be more frustrating to me as I get older. Like, yes, I'm not in her position of power. Yes, what she says is probably true on some level, but the whataboutism, the middle of the roadism of it all just aggravates me. Like, it's not, it's not that she can't choose a side. She is, like, not choosing a side is a choice. She's making a choice. She keeps claiming that she can't make a choice and that both sides have valid points, which could be true and is in some cases. You can't say you won't make a choice because you've made a choice. Your choice is to not make a choice. You're choosing to stay neutral.
if you do not intervene in the violence being committed against the oppressed, then you were choosing the oppressors.
Yeah.
And she says something that makes me really frustrated. She says, if it comes to war, it is the people of Kirkwall who are suffering. Althena, I have news for you. They're already suffering.
Yep.
Mages are part of the people of Kirkwall. The people in Lowtown and Darktown are also suffering because Templars are controlling the city. Althena refusing to interfere means that she is advocating for Meredith's leadership. Letting Meredith and Orsino, quote, work it out, will also result in war, because eventually Meredith is just going to stamp out all the mages.
Yeah.
And if Althena just stands up and says, Meredith, you're out of control, it shows that the Chantry does care about balance.
Yeah. It's one thing to say that you care about balance. It's another to actually show it. And it's an example of a religious or important figure claiming one thing and doing another, right? If you say these things, folks who pay less attention will believe you because they are not going to engage in the deeper parts of it to see where you are pushing things under the rug. But anyone with a brain cell or two is going to look at it and go, well, sure, you're saying this and it's fine to claim you're altruistic, but like people are dying all the time. And if you say you don't want those people to die, you're already failing. You're already unsuccessful at what you are setting out to do. So like it's all words. And we've had our fair share of recent political leaders who say one thing and then go do another fucking thing. And while Althena here is not taking other actions, the inaction is still leaning towards that action of support of the side that is doing the most wrongdoing. And like, yes. Again, this is not to, we've seen at points where the mages push back in an extreme way as well. But like every time that happens, you can point to it going, well, yes, they did that to survive because of this thing on the other side. And once you have to categorize it that way, it's a losing argument. Like, yes, they did something extreme. Yeah, because they had no choice because of this other thing they were doing. Like, it's just, the argument breaks down.
Peaceful protest can only work in a place where the right to protest is respected.
And when it's not, which often it isn't, then it just doesn't matter. Then it doesn't amount to anything other than volume, which can be helpful, but, like, is not enough.
Althena makes me so angry.
Yeah. And I think...
I know we were just kind of, like, shitting on this quest in a way.
Yeah.
But, like, I do think that this conversation with Althena is very important because
yes.
I think it grounds everything that Anders has been saying.
Yes. No, I agree. And I think Althena, while she drives me absolutely bonkers, is a well-written, well-designed, and well-created character. The fact that we feel this deeply is because of this conversation, how it's written and how we engage with it. And so I think it is important to this quest and to the overall narrative, and honestly the most important part of the entire quest, to be frank.
Man, I need to go outside and pet a dog now. I'm so worked up. Okay, so after we have this conversation, Anders shows up. I've been looking for you everywhere. Althena looks at him and says, your soul is troubled.
Yeah, okay.
And then that's it. That's the end. That's the end of the quest.
Yeah, then the quest hard cut ends, puts you back in front of the clinic. And this is the part that drove me crazy. And I wrote Frankie saying, I think my quest is bugged. Because when we go into the clinic where it says we need to finish the quest, when we click on Anders, he's already in his black robes that he gets from this quest and is giving a pillow that was important to him to Varric. And I'm like, what? And like, it's this moment where Anders is giving away an important item to Varric as if to say, if I'm not around anymore, I want you to remember me. And Varric immediately pumps the brakes on that and goes, bud, you keep it, sleep on it, dream of killing Templars. You're not going anywhere. And I love Varric. Varric is a perfect video game character, and I will always love him. And nothing bad will ever happen to him ever. And so, like, this moment happens, and I'm so confused. I'm like, wait, why is he here? And then you get to talk to him, and Anders is talking to you as if he's like about to engage in a great sacrifice and may die and may disappear. And the whole time I'm playing through this, I'm like, what the hell? And once we finish it, it says that we've completed questioning beliefs and the other quest is gone too. And I went, wait, where's the resolution to the last quests? Because we know on a meta level that this potion fails, or that there may not have ever even been a potion, and that there was an ulterior motive. But the quest never tells us that. It jumps right into questioning beliefs and doesn't explain the resolution of the previous quest. It's jarring and irritating, and apparently by design, and it drives me bonkers.
Yes. So if you are 100% friendship with Anders, there is absolutely no follow-up. Like, you're done. No conversation needed. Which I think is bullshit. Because even if you have 100% friendship with someone, there should be a follow-up conversation of like, okay, now are you going to tell me what you did?
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be some wrap-up here. And they do not give you one if you're at the highest friendship with him. And that makes no sense to me.
None. And then the rest of the conversation, like I said, is mostly like Anders thanking you for always being by his side. Like in this very I'm about to die, I want to thank you and let you know how much you mean to me conversation. And it just feels so jarring when we don't get any kind of resolution about the shenanigans we literally just got up to. Because questioning beliefs is usually a separate quest line that you go back to the characters after a period of time. But because we're at 100% with him here, it jumps right into it. And it just, like, I really thought the game was bugged and that I did something wrong. I replayed it 3 times thinking that maybe it's because I replaced Anders in my party when he left. Maybe it's because I had certain characters in my party. Like, I really thought that I was doing something wrong. And when a game does that, it's a failure of design on the most base level. If I was someone new to video games and this confused, there's some grace there, right? Because maybe I, as an inexperienced player, am missing something, but I have logged a lot of hours in games like this specifically and in video games generally. And for me to be this confused means it's a failure on the design level, not on me, the player. And it's aggravating.
I agree with you. These conversations always wear me out.
Yeah. I mean,
get so worked up.
Yeah. I mean, especially these games. I feel like when we did Mass Effect, there were moments like this, but I also think that if we replayed the trilogy now, our conversations would also be very different, because I just guessed it.
Yeah. Well, because we're always we're always changing.
Well, right.
We're always new people.
And the times around us are changing as well. And like I guessed it on the Retro Hangover podcast. This is a few weeks ago now. To talk about Mass Effect 2 specifically, and when the conversation of white supremacy came up and the Elusive Man and the complete overlap of those two things, which we knew at the time also when we played it the first time, but like is just obviously more relevant now. I was like, oh, this feels bad, man. I don't like this. And I just feel like playing Dragon Age 2 specifically right now is adding to this animation and exhaustion. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Everything's exhausting all the time.
Anyway, that's the end of Justice. Before we get into the wrap up of the episode, we have another correspondence from one of our favorite humans, the one and only Callie. So before we move on, I'm going to insert that here through the magic of editing.
Anasara, everyone. Here are some thoughts on episode 41 and a new path. For someone with high friendship with Meryl, in the initial conversation she is more open with her feelings of frustration and sorrow that the Olivian is still not working. In the time since our last quest with Meryl, I have become more willing to trust my judgment and listen to my worries. And I am worried about risking a possession by talking with this spirit. However, I understand something Marathari does not. Meryl is determined to try this, regardless of whether anyone is willing to help her. So, the best way to help her stay safe is to try to help her accomplish her goals safely. Thus, no matter how worried I am, she still has my support. I did choose to speak with Marathari. Nothing surprising. She insisted again that the Illuvian is still dangerous despite being fixed, and again declined to be more specific and declined to explain how she is so certain. I am a scientist. I need specifics and either a cited source or an explanation of methodology. I agree that Marazari should not have made this unilateral decision and acted alone, and there is another aspect to it that makes it even worse. If she knew the demon's plan, a little communication could have solved this. Feels like a bit of an idiot plot, and it pains me to say that since the character drama that results is so compelling. However, there is some good irony to it, since stubbornly acting alone is part of what got Meryl into this. I was frustrated by the choice of she was stupid or you weren't listening. To me, both feel true, and I do not think either is helpful for Meryl to hear in this moment. A large part of what went wrong is that Marathari kept insisting that this was a bad idea without explaining anything, and then punishing Meryl, which is terrible mentorship, and exactly how to make someone feel hurt, defensive, and alone, and cause them to become more entrenched in their position. If she wanted Meryl to listen, this was a very stupid approach. If she had explained why it was dangerous and how she knew, thought it through together, maybe explored alternatives, things might have gone very differently. The friend version of the wrap-up conversation is also rather emotional. Having to mourn her mentor, process being hated and permanently exiled, accept that she cannot help people who do not want to be helped, and find a new purpose in life, all at once. It must be horribly overwhelming. I still adore Meryl, and I hesitate to call it a flaw that she takes calculated risks and tries to be careful, but things still go badly. Despite being a very risk-averse person, I have taken some calculated risks that seemed like the best or only option at the time, and sometimes it goes badly. Not because I was a flawed person and my decision was bad, but simply because that is how life works. Typically, when something does work out, it is praised as a good decision, and when it goes badly, it is condemned as a mistake, regardless of how risky it actually was. This does not make sense to me. What does make sense is to assess the soundness of a decision based only on the situation the decider was in and the information they had in the moment. Everything after that is simply chance. That said, I would not make the choice Meryl did. Too risky for me, and I would certainly prefer that she had chosen differently, but it is her life, her risk to take, and she was pushed in that direction by bad mentorship, so I am not going to judge her for it just because I would choose differently. As always, many thanks to Frankie and Matt for taking the time and effort to make Reignite. And remember, all Templars are bastards, and they must be abolished and held accountable for what they have done. They do deserve to be judged for their clearly immoral choices to inflict intentional harm.
Thank you, Callie, as always, for sending us a voicemail, for posting in the Discord. Also, I want to give a special shout out to Yorkie, who has started his Mass Effect journey from the first game and is listening to the podcast along with us and also posting in the Discord, questioning some of the stuff we've said, wanting deeper conversation about different characters. Yorkie and Callie had a great back and forth about Navigator Presley and, you know, the racism in the first game and Ashley. And while we try and engage as much as we can, it's just so fun to see this back and forth. And for someone to do the thing that we always want people to do is when they listen to this podcast, go all the way back to the beginning and listen along. And I'm sure Frankie and I have said some head ass shit because who knows, right? Like we said,
it's been 8 years.
Right. We constantly change. But the fact that someone is doing that and wants to interrogate it and have a conversation about it in the Discord is literally the whole reason why we started the show. So Yorkie, thanks for doing that. I am holding Dave Jackson's feet to the fire because he has claimed that when he replays the Mass Effect trilogy, he listens to Reignite from the beginning as well. So this is your call out post, Dave. But that's been really great to see. And so if anyone else wants to do that, either replay the games or play them for the first time and listen from the beginning, that's why we designed the show the way we did. It's so fun to see someone doing that. So anyway, moving
it's
on.
all self-serving.
Almost so self-serving. It's a huge ego boost, and I will openly admit it. But all that said, also, we're not going to do Phantom Corner this week. Frankie and I are just kind of out of ideas. And so we'll come back with more stuff.
Out at the moment.
Yeah, but we're always watching stuff and playing games, and we'll have more stuff to talk about soon. But also check out all our social places that we're going to say in a minute because we post about stuff there too and or in the Discord. But moving on to what we're doing next. We hinted at it earlier, but we are doing Varric's companion quest next, A Small Problem and Haunted. These quests do them for the next episode, and this quest line might be one of my favorites in the game. I mean, everything that Varric's in. Like, I love Varric in this game especially. I think more than other games just because it's our first introduction to him. Hawk is his best friend, and so like we get to see that relationship, whereas Varric has varying relationships with characters as we go in the series, and so it's fun to go on these buddy missions. And so play Varric's companion quest next, and we'll discuss that in the next episode.
Yes. So if you like what you heard here, you can follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Blue Sky, YouTube, and Instagram, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Blue Sky as Frankie B. Writes and DJ Stormageddon. I am actually more active on Threads. Frankie B. Writes there as well.
You can also rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast on any podcatcher. We are literally on every single platform, including YouTube. Please give us ratings and reviews or comments and likes in all those places. It helps us combat the mighty algorithm and get into other people's feeds so we can continue to grow this community and continue to have these incredible conversations around these games that we love.
I just remembered that the name of the villain in Space Jam 2 was Al G Rhythm.
Mm-hmm. I refuse to watch that movie.
It actually wasn't bad.
I don't believe you.
It was fun. There was a very funny Michael Jordan joke in it.
Okay, I don't believe you.
I believe me.
Okay, well, good for you.
I'm sorry, I'm so sleepy. We're members of the Certain Point of View Network. Visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server on the website where you can join the conversation and help me convince Matt Storm that Space Jam 2 is not bad.
You are the only person I've heard say that, so I don't believe you.
It's not bad.
Okay. Not bad and good are very different things.
I didn't say that it was good. I said that it was not bad.
Okay. Anyway, as for personal plugs, if you are listening to this on the day it releases, I am actively at PAX East in Boston. And tonight, if you are also in Boston, I am in a panel hosted by the incredible Adam Gumbert called Game Pretty. It's a Jeopardy parody, and I'm on the panel with a ton of really great folks, friends of the show like Jacob McCourt and Claire After All, Asa Green River. It's going to be a great time, and you should come through and experience it. But if you are at PAX East this weekend, I am here the whole weekend covering it for Fun and Games, along with Jen and Sarah. So definitely say hi if you see me, or shoot me a message if you'd like to hang.
If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, I am not at PAX East. I am still in Northern Ireland. But you can still find me online. Do you love romance? Do you love books? Do you love community-forward spaces that care more about providing a safe space to exist than it does about making a profit? then you're going to love Romance Society Bookshop. Keep an eye on my website, frankiebryce.com, for news on bookshop development and how you can help make this dream a reality.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Scratching my chin. We, as always, want to thank the one and only Case Aiken for developing some awesome t-shirt designs that you can find at certainpov.com. And as well, thank Case for our awesome show art. Thank you for helping us keep the uniqueness of this podcast alive.
We'd like to thank Miracle of Sound for our theme music. If you've been jamming along, then you should head over to miracleofsound.rocks and check out Gavin Dunn's other music and merch.
And thank you to Red Spinks for designing our Dragon Age-inspired logo. To see more of his work, you can go to Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
And lastly, thank you for listening. I'm Frankie.
And I am Maddie K. Stormageddon. And remember, all Templars are bastards.
Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk. Hawk, Hawk,
All right, Josue, let's go through our new Comic Day stack. We have a lot to review.
I know. Maybe we've gone too far.
Well, let's see. Marvel, of course. DC.
I got Image, Dark Horse,
Black Mask, Boom, IDW.
Aftershock, Vault, of course, Mad Cave,
Oni, Valiant, Scout.
Magma, Behemoth.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, all we need now is a name for our show. We need a name for a show about reviewing comic books every week. Something clever, but not too clever.
Like a pun? It's kind of cheesy.
Yeah, it's something that seems funny at first, but we might regret later on as an impulsive decision a few dozen episodes in.
Yeah, we'll think of something.
Join Keith and Josue for We Have Issues, a weekly show reviewing almost every new comic released each week, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
CPOV.
CertainPOV.com.